Hey, how's it going? Chris from My Core Balance. This is the Ask Trainer Chris podcast, and had a question about progressions and about the safest way to get somebody from a relatively beginner state. And actually, we're talking super beginner. We're going to go all the way to super beginner, all the way up through the intermediate ranks, and then all the way up to the advanced exerciser. So there's definitely a macro view that you want to take into account. Obviously, there's going to be different variations on the micro level on the details, but the macro view is really simple, actually, and it's based on common sense and progression of actually human development when you were a baby and a young child. So the general progression, the general trajectory of your progression will be: when you were born, you were held a lot. You were held as a baby, and the only thing you could really do was be on your back, and you kind of moved your arms and legs around a little bit. And this is the first step. This is the first level. Literally, if you are really bad off, you're really out of shape, or I trained I've trained some elderly people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and this is where they live. You're on your back, and you're going to do probably a 45 to 50 minute workout on your back. And think about the thing: you're stable, your spine is stable, your core is stable, your core muscles, everything is stabilized by the floor. And basically you're just moving your arms, you're moving your legs, you're doing isolated hip flexor lifts, you're doing pullovers, elbow curls, goal posts, stuff like that. If you don't know these exercises, look them up on my YouTube channel, My Core Balance, and you can search for them. So you can do a whole workout program on your back. Definitely plenty of exercises to do. I just finished with a personal training client, 55 minutes on his back and then 5 minutes standing. That's it. Okay, so actually I jumped the gun a little bit with the standing. So next progression in the big macro scheme of things is you're going to flip over to your stomach. What do babies do next, right? They roll over, and we all remember, oh, Junior rolled over yesterday. We all remember when that happens, right? And the reason why this is a little bit more challenging, even though you're still supported by the floor, it's a little more challenging because it's a lot harder to lift your head and lift your arms and legs up when you are on your stomach than when you're on your back. So it's a lot harder to do a Superman than it is to do a crunch. So, Superman, that's one exercise here. Hamstring curls. There's all kinds of stuff. Again, you can design a whole exercise program where you're on your stomach the whole time. The next step from there is you get onto your hands and knees, right? Junior starts crawling. Junior starts, crawling and looking up, trying to climb, stuff like that. Then you would come up to sitting, and then you would come up to standing. So those 5, so on your back, on your stomach, hands and knees, sitting and standing. That's the 5 macro progressions. And again, dozens, if not hundreds of exercises inside of each one of those levels. And you can design a whole program around those 5 levels. So it's pretty fantastic, actually, how the progressions go. Obviously, once you're standing, you can jump, you can, sprint, you can do all that running and stuff like that. But just make sure you have the foundation underneath you. Thank you so much for listening. If you have a specific question and you're on the Anchor app, feel free to message me. If you're not on the app, text me. Text me at 408-883-4442 and leave me your question there. Thanks.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.